we're having our annual party, you know, instead of meeting, then it's just sometimes it's as simple as that. So creative people. Yeah, it's what basically. Yeah.
That's what we made the mistake tonight. Yeah, we didn't go on the party. Yeah. So finding, and I think that's absolutely right. So how do you find a language and a dialogue that engages people?
And I just think at this time people are used to freelance and they don't want any responsibility necessarily or accountability because they don't understand it. So they don't want to be accountable for something that they don't necessarily understand.
And yet the sad thing for me is that because we have a reluctance to talk about the business of the arts, so many great ideas potentially get lost because they can't come through to fruition.
Yeah.
Or they're not sustainable over time, you know. So great dance companies and theatre companies and fashion designers and filmmakers and, you know, and never achieve the potential because somehow or other trying to build a business model that makes it sustainable. So thinking about it early rather than later might help. So but it's just a challenge.
I was just going to ask Elena about, you were saying the people are on your trust or like your board?
Yeah.
Like how strategic were you in getting the right sort of people to sit on that?
It was quite interesting because initially we really were like, okay, we need a business person, we need a legal person, we need a co-marketer, we need somebody, you know, but actually because we're such a small company, often people who are on boards of arts organisations are actually already really, really busy and on several boards. So we were kind of, our strategy is to try and kind of find the new up and coming people because the kind of people that we went to had never heard of us. Oh, we've heard of you all but haven't seen your work. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, I'm just on too many boards, I'm really busy. So we started the trust, and actually we've still only got the initial trustees, with 2 people from the dance industry, from the creative, 1 from a marketing background, and 1 dancer representative from the kind of core group. So we're really looking to grow our trust, but it's a slow process. Yeah.
Do you find that, like those 2 people anyway, helpful? Like, do you how going to them?
Incredibly. In fact, I mean, the trust meets 4 times a year, which we've now just changed to 6 because we've kind of really want to push some things through. But individually, I talk to them all the time. Yeah.
And what's those 6 meetings about? And like, are they about your programming or creative ideas or finances?
It changes, but mostly. Well, we always have to get them to sign off the budgets on upcoming projects, and then get the ratification of the creative ideas that we're going for, or to kind of talk about the creative things that we want to do, and then we'll have a discussion around the different ways that we can pull that together for me to then drive that forward. Often it's a sounding board for issues that have come out of projects that we've just done. And our main one, which is why we've increased it this year, is because we're really trying to access more money for our infrastructure. So that's why we kind of increased it, the number of meetings this year.
So again, thinking about how to expand the composition of that board to bring a different skill set.
And I just think within that spark process, like there's a lot of mentoring, you know, and it's just being able to have someone else to talk to about where you need to go. Like it doesn't actually all have to reside in you.
No.
You know.
And often the people that bring a different skill set are challenging, and they take some time to educate, and they ask questions that are pain in the neck and video. But they're the ones that you really want.
Yes.
And so, you know, being open to have the provocateur who will ask just really hard-asked questions about business.
Yeah.
To push that side of the thinking without compromising the artistic, the creative, and again that comes partly to getting clarity around the role of the board. So really fascinating tensions, aren't they?
Yes.
So Lester, tell us about your story. Have some similarities, I suspect, and some differences
Yeah,
as well.
there are. It's very interesting. I'm going to talk to Lena about the similarities. In terms of, my name is Lester McGrath, I'm the General Manager at Auckland Theatre Company. In terms of the scheme of things and the sort of the range, I think, I mean, Artemira is a relatively young company compared to Auckland Theatre Company. We've been going for 17 years. we're much more commercial, I think, in a sense, and we're much more in kind of the middle scale of things. We're not at the commercial end, but we have a much greater focus, I think, on the business side because we're a much bigger organisation, I guess. So our model is slightly different. There are common themes running to it. I'll go through some of the notes I made about the questions that you were given. Firstly, Auckland Theatre Company. Auckland Theatre Company is the region's only full-time, fully professional theatre company. It's been going, for, as I said, for 17 years. We sell up to 75,000 tickets a year. We do 7 or 8 shows a year in the Auckland region. We employ, we have about between 180 and 200 contractors a year. So that'll give you a sense of the size of the operation. We have a turnover of just over 4 million. Our box office, funnily enough, is 53%. So we have to earn the bucks at the box office, which brings it 53% of our turnover is box office. So it puts a real emphasis on on being able to get the patrons through. We're a drama company as opposed to a company that makes theatre that's devised. So it's very much about the playwright's voice. And I think one of the things that runs through Auckland Theatre Company's work that makes it distinctively Auckland and distinctively about New Zealand is the work that we commission. It's about, we're fervently New Zealand in the work that we do. So even when we do a play that's from the classical canon or from the latest contemporary work, we're always thinking about what does that mean to Auckland, what does that mean to this region. And so we tend to describe ourselves as an artistically led, audience-focused organisation, which you can extrapolate to creative and business. It's about the two bits of the puzzle sitting together. Other unique thing about Auckland Theatre Company is that we don't have our own theatre. A lot of theatres, particularly in the Western world, or all over the world actually, they have their own building. We don't have our own theatre, so we hire venues. We've currently got the show on at the Maidment, but we also hire Sky City. We've used the Herald, we've used the Pump House on the North Shore, Gleaning and Playhouse. We trot around. So we don't have our own actual venue. Now, when the company was starting, there was a real advantage to that. I'll just talk to you about the genesis of the company actually, because it sort of puts it into perspective. The history of theatre in Auckland had been very checkered. Some would say it still is. But during the 70s and 80s, there was a company in town called the Mercury Theatre, which is a very strong producing house. It folded in the early 90s. We'd had Theatre Corporate closing in the 80s. Then there was a new venue that started up down on the waterfront called the Watershed, which again was a building-based company, and it folded after a few years when the whole of the waterfront was being redeveloped. So we have a history in Auckland particularly, which we don't have anywhere else in New Zealand. In fact, I can't think of a city in Australia even that has this history. We'll start these things, they crash and burn eventually. And one of the key factors about it was that they were building-based companies. So the company was started by 2 people. It was Simon Prast, who was an actor, and Teresa Sokolich, who was a production person. And they, with the closure of the Mercury, which was pretty contentious, it was all across the front pages here in the Herald, when they started this company in their flat, they used to flat together, it was about, we don't want to be a building-based company. We need to be lean and mean, without all the infrastructure, without costume-making shops and productions and big administrations. We need to be very lean, and we need to focus on the work. We need to focus on plays and our audience and creating work. We don't want to be worried about whether we need to change the light bulbs in the foyer and are the toilets clean and is there, all that kind of other stuff that you get with a building. So that was really how they started, and as a project company. But it was about, they started off, the first few shows they did in the Watershed until that closed. Then they moved to the Herald Theatre, which originally was a rehearsal room behind the back of the Aotea Centre.